All right, y'all, here we go. I think counting it, well, not counting this episode, or I should say after this episode, should have two more left before we're done with the NBA 2K14 PS4 draft class. I'm happy about it. Took a while to stick through this, and I'm trying to get it done. You'll probably be seeing this on Monday morning, maybe early. I'm trying to get it done, the last two episodes. I'm trying to get them done all within Monday, which is the national championship game. That's when it ends. Still getting a lot of people saying stuff like, oh, why don't you put hair on the Harrison twins? Why don't you add this? Or why don't you put a headband on this guy, whatever. The people who have been watching this series since the beginning, or from close to the beginning, they know that you can't edit the 2K14 players. You just got to find the best face close as you can. Some guys might need to get switched, or looks like they should be switched, but I pretty much did the best I could matching up the faces with what I was given. So that's that. But we'll jump into this real quick because I got 7 guys that I'm going to go through. Actually, no, I'm sorry, 9. I'm sorry, it's 9. Because I decided word was Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker of Wisconsin are going back to school. So I took them out. I replaced them with 2 guys who definitely were coming out, or not definitely, but probably coming out. Well, one definitely, one probably. So I'm trying to get through this as soon as possible because I don't want to keep switching stuff and people announcing that they're not coming out. Because once I've dropped this and I'm done, I'm going to be done. I'm not going to go back and redo it again because I could do that all the way up to the draft, and that would just defeat the whole purpose. There's people who I appreciate their patience that's been waiting on this draft class to drop. So when it drops, it's going to drop as is, and that's going to be it. All right, enough of that. I've talked for 2 minutes and I ain't showed nothing yet. So let's look. Frank Kaminsky turned into Brady Heslop. So because I needed a white guy, and I looked at some of the international players, but none of them really look like I don't know what. But Brady Heslop's probably not gonna get drafted. He is the epitome of a one-dimensional player. 6'2", smallish point guard, but he is absolute three-point specialist. So you saw the rating, and it was really bad. Probably gonna be the lowest rated player in the whole draft class at 51. But that said, because he is such a great shooter, there could be a reason for you to look into that and say, maybe I'll take this guy. Or I don't know how they do the draft, like the undrafted free agents yet on NBA 2K14, so we'll see how that works. But I'm talking about Brady Heslop is a dead-eye three-point shooter. He really is. So if you want to, just have a guy who you can come in and have him really just drop trays, he might be your guy, because the dude is fire. You know what I mean? I shot 46% from three-point range this year, 80% from the free throw line, 45% from the field, period, because the majority of his shots comes from 3. But if you look at like athletically and size-wise, man, he can't really compete. He can't guard nobody. I mean, he's a poor man's Jimmer Fredette, and Jimmer Fredette hasn't made any kind of a mark to be somebody to be a poor man's whatever. So that's the reason why he's a 51. But I did give him the 2 signature skills, the catch and shoot and the dead eye. I felt like those are in order considering, what he brings to the table as a shooter. So, that's what we did with Brady Heslop, going through the tendencies here. And if you kind of want to know, I'll give you a general idea of how I do this. I think a few people asked for a formula. I created a formula last year, and I use that pretty much. But I do a little bit of a tweak here and there, because some statistics you gotta kind of have to take and put it into a different perspective. Because if a kid is playing for a small school where he's not playing against top-notch competition, I can't necessarily take his statistics, and put them at the same level as I would a kid that plays in the Big Ten, Big East, ACC, SEC, or something like that, because he's simply not seeing the same type of competition. But sometimes I can, because this guy might be considered, you know, bad from what I see, from what I've seen, as well as from what a lot of the experts, other experts online have seen. You know, he's highly touted. So in a situation like that, then I am, you know, maybe considering his statistics on the same par with someone who did go to a big time school. So that's one of the ways that I do it. In terms of tendencies, I really kind of try to use one base guy, you know, and one base guy from each position. And I try to, you know, decide whether or not this player, how would he relate if I gave, let's say for instance, if I gave one guy a 70 in alley-oop tendency, then how does it relate to this, you know, proportionately? How often or how frequently would this guy go for alley-oop if I gave this guy a 70? So I kind of go by that, if that makes any sense at all. But that's that. So let's move into the next guy, which is Mitch McGary from Michigan. Now this he replaces the Sam Decker that I had. Sam Decker's going back to school, as I mentioned. Mitch McGary, he might not come out. He's a sophomore, but he missed like almost the entire season with a back problem, I believe it was. He's a big guy, 6'10", 265 pounds about, and there's reason to believe he'll come out, because especially having had an injury already, he's risking things by going back to school and trying to stay another year, because what if he gets hurt or has a bad year, then his stock is going to fall. But very active around the basket. He's never averaged double figures. 9.5 points a game this year before he had to sit out. 8.3 rebounds though. All of the numbers, for the most part, everything he had, all of his numbers went up from his freshman season. So he was already showing great improvement. Field goal percentage went down a little bit, but was playing almost 5 more minutes a game. Still only played 24.6 minutes, so I had to take that into consideration with the stamina. I did have a question on YouTube, and one of the comments, someone gave him the scrapper signature skill. One of the commenters asked, they said, why do you make everybody's potential so high? Well, I don't think I make everybody's potential high, but some players I do give a high potential. But first of all, that doesn't mean they're going to reach it, because every single player with high potential doesn't reach their potential, doesn't reach that level, I should say. So that's one thing. The other thing is, you have to remember that the players are going to start low, and then they're going to improve probably over the first 2 or 3 seasons before they kind of get to where they're going to be. So, you know, you got to give some guys room for growth, but everybody that I've created does not have high potential at all. I think there might be 1 or 2 guys in the entire draft class that I gave a potential of 90 or more. And that's probably, well, maybe 3. It's Wiggins, Parker, and Embiid. I don't believe I've given, maybe Randall, I gave that opportunity. The next tier guys are, you know, in mid to high 80s, and then there's a lot of guys low 80s as a potential, and then you got some guys in the high 70s as a potential. I think I got some few guys low 70 as a potential, because to me the potential was like their ceiling. You know, this is the best that this guy could end up being. So that's that. Alright, so that was Mitch McGary. So now let's get into the new people that we're bringing in here today. So last we left off with Johnny O'Brien, and now let's take a look at Lamar Patterson from Pitt. So let's see. Now Lamar Patterson, he reminds me in a lot of ways. He reminds me of Draymond Green. For from Michigan State, plays for Golden State now. They have a similar body type, but Lamar is a guard and handles the ball much better than Draymond does, because Draymond's really just like an undersized power forward, but he does have the three-point shot that he can knock it down. Lamar's a pretty good three-point shooter himself, just barely under 40% this year from three-point range, 17 points a game, 32.6 minutes, fifth-year senior. Good all-around player, period. 4.3 assists, 4.9 rebounds, 1.4 steals. His field goal percentage did dip a bit down to 44%, but you gotta like him. You like his game. The thing about him is that he's not an explosive athlete, and that's always going to lower the ceiling of a player when they're not an explosive athlete, and that would be the reason why he has a potential of just a 79. Very much plays below the rim, and as a wing player in today's NBA, playing below the rim means that you're more likely going to have a problem finishing at the basket, and if you're not fleet of foot on defense, then it may mean that you could have a problem guarding guys on the perimeter. I don't know for a fact that he'll have that issue because he's pretty strong, has fairly long arms, and he's not that bad of an athlete, but he's gonna have to be physical, because that's his thing. That's his edge physically, is that he's a little stronger, a little thicker than a lot of wing players, and he should be able to use that to try to one, create space and contact for his shots on the drive, but then also to make it difficult for guys with the ball to beat him off the dribble. So that is the deal with Lamar Patterson. Looking at his signature skills here, trying to differentiate or make sure that, you know, there's a variety of signature skills, you know, so you don't end up giving everybody the same thing. That can be challenging, trying to remember, oh, okay, I have to use this one too much or whatever. So that I've done my best to try to stay away from that. Didn't give him a ton of crazy dunks, or any crazy dunks really, but that's it for Lamar Patterson. So let's move on to the next guy, who is one of my favorite players in the whole draft class, Adreian Payne. I still only gave him a 66 because we got to keep it real. Got to keep it real here. Power forward center. I was happy with the player model I was able to find for him. I thought it was pretty one of the more accurate ones. He is a stretch four for sure, but he really could probably be so much more than just a stretch four, because athletically he's got it. He's got the arm length. He's pretty strong, but then on top of that, he does have the touch and the shooting ability. The problem I see with Adreian Payne, and I watched probably, not probably, I watched more Michigan State this year than any other school. I saw a lot of Adreian Payne, Gary Harris, Keith Appling, and the whole crew. Stamina is something that I noticed with Adreian Payne, and he only plays 28 minutes a game. But in the second half, late in the second half, especially if he's been active, I really noticed him dip off a little bit on the energy side. He also appears to me to check out sometimes of games, like for, you know, it's like, what are you doing? Like, he's just not active there, right? I gave him, of course, the catch and shoot. Gave him the fan favorite. Everybody loves this guy pretty much. He's a really cool guy. You know, has the relationship with the young girl who's battling cancer. So fan favorite is definitely something it's the first time I've given out that that signature, or the identity badge, or whatever they call it. It's the first time I've given that one out. Haven't given that many of those out to anybody, because as a rookie, you know, they don't really have that established just yet for the most part, but I thought that he definitely deserved that. But as a three-point shooter, you saw the attributes. You see he's 42% from three-point range, 79% from the free throw line. He knows how to get there. I think he could be a better rebounder than he is, but 7.3 is definitely good. But I like his game. I really think that he could be a player that really could make an impact on a good team. I've heard a player comparison of Robert Horry. I could see it. You know, it's the big man that could shoot from the outside, stretch the defense with his range. But I don't know. I think, like I said, I think he can do more than that. I really do. I really think he can do more than that. I think he has a back to the basket game. I think he could be a better defender. He's already a decent defender, but I think he could be even better. So I don't know. In real life, we'll see what happens. But here on the draft class, we're coming down to a close. He's a pretty good athlete. He can get up a little bit. Not a freak, but definitely not a stiff either. And those are the dunks. So that'll do it for Mr. Payne. What do we have next? We got Elfrid Payton. I'm telling you guys right now, if you want to talk about a dude another guy who could be a sleeper, first round pick. Now he's a junior, so he doesn't have to come out, but I think he will. From Louisiana Lafayette. So, you know, a lot of people have not seen him play. 6'4", 185-pound point guard. Fast. I'm trying to tell you, fast. Game off the dribble for sure. Breaking guys down off the dribble. Definitely can get to the basket. Got the good size for the point guard. He's also a very good playmaker and passer too. As you can look at the assists, 6 a game. Rebounds, 6 a game too. Big, long, steals, gets into the passing. He's a tenacious defender. Over 2 steals a game in the last 2 seasons. Now 19 points a game as well too. So that's a nice stat line. Now if you want to know the problem though with Elfrid Payton, because you might be hearing me say this stuff, you're like, well, why is he not a top 10 pick or whatever? Nah, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to go that high. I gave him an ankle break and active hands. But the problem with Elfrid Payton is that he can't shoot. Outside shot is not good. 26% from 3-point range. Free throw percentage is only about 61%. That's a problem. That's a problem from a point guard standpoint or guard standpoint, period. Now, the positive thing is the only part of his game that he really doesn't have, he can get. You know, working on his jump shot, repetition, he can improve that shot. But some of the other things that he has, you just can't teach. That speed, that tenacity on defense. The guy is a good athlete, and I really think that he could be a really good player. I would love to see the Bulls draft him with one of their first-round picks. I tweeted today, Elfrid Payton and Montrezl Harrell would be a nice first-round get for the Bulls, but that's if they keep both of their picks. So we don't know what's going to happen with that. But we're looking at the signature skills for Elfrid Payton. He does have not dreads, he has twist. So what's the best we could find for the twist? This doesn't look anything like what he has, but they didn't give us that option. So there we go. Throwing down the slams, he can definitely get up a bit. But he is only 6'4", so you don't have that many of the slams. All right, moving along. Next up, Pettaway, Nebraska. Only gave him a 60. Like the all-around game that he had, I shouldn't say all-around game. He is more of a scorer. He can be an impact defender on steals and things like that because he does have pretty long arms. But for the most part, this guy's a scorer, but he's not a exceptional athlete. So because he's not, of course, he does too have that same issue. Now he's long though, so because he's long, he has a little bit of an edge in regards to when he's driving to the basket. And I will say he's a better athlete than Lamar Patterson for sure. Now he's just a junior, but he averaged 18 points a game this year, 4.8 rebounds. Could improve the 3-point shooting because it's only at about 33%. But I think it might be difficult for him not to come out. I don't know. It could be. He did just transfer from Texas Tech. He had to sit out, not this past season, but the season before that. So I don't know. I did recognize that he was in a lot of mock drafts, and now he's not. But I did some research to see, well, did he declare? Did he say he's coming back or whatever? I didn't see anything that said he was coming back. But perhaps there's word or rumors that he is. So that could be the reason that he has moved off of draft boards. I'm gonna keep him in just in case. If he decides to go back, then this will be one of the guys who's technically not supposed to be in the draft class until next year, but you'll have him a little bit early. So that is the deal on Teron Pettaway. And now we can look at the signature skills. Like I said, varying up these shots as much as possible. I'm still really working hard trying to make sure that these accessories are right too, that the guys have on. I know that's a big deal amongst the NBA 2K community, making sure that the guys have the right accessories. So, in some instances, they're wearing different things all the time. So it's hard to kind of keep up. So you kind of just pick the one that is the most common thing that, if he shows up in 4 pitches wearing the same thing and it's different games, then, hey, you go with that one, right? So that is, how many have we done here? That's 4 plus McGary and Haslip, which is 6. We've got 3 more to look at. Javante Redick, VCU. This is a big man who I think has a lot of talent. I think he has a lot of talent. Really good footwork. Very nimble for a guy his size. But one of the problems is his statistical output really dipped his last year. So it was kind of weird too, because he played like almost the exact same amount of minutes. But if you haven't watched, I didn't get a chance to watch all VCU this year. I remember seeing him out there a couple times, as well as the what we looked at, or what I looked at from the video standpoint that was available, and then just looking over his stats. If you look at that, one of the biggest reasons it looks like he fell off is just take a look at that free throw percentage. You see how much that dipped for a big man who's getting sent to the line regularly. That's a big deal, and that can definitely cause a decrease in point value, because some of those easy baskets some of those free throw attempts that used to be easy, now they're not easy anymore for him, and that drastically impacts his ability to score. So I think that had something to do with it. Can that be something he remedies on the next level? We'll see. But as of right now, that's the culprit that's keeping him from being rated even higher than I had him. Because I had him rated, I think, pretty high for a guy that's a early second round pick by most accounts. But second round picks don't have to be second class players. There's a lot of players come out of the second round that have either been stars or made an impact. So Javante Redick could be the next guy there. Let's look at the signature skills. I try not to get in terms of highlight reels. The only thing I really like to use highlight reels for in the ratings is their athleticism. I'm trying to see when the guy goes to the basket, is he able to, how many dunks is he putting down? How many different dunks is he putting down? How much ease is he getting up there? When he's in transition, is he clearly faster than other guys? Besides, if it's not a scouting report and I'm looking at a video, as 9 times out of 10 it's a highlight. So that's what I look at when I'm looking at the highlights. All right, next up we got Glenn Robinson III. Glenn Robinson really is in no way, shape, or form should be a second round pick. From a pure talent standpoint, there's not a lot of dudes in the draft who can do what he can do. I mean, he's athletic. He can shoot it from the outside a bit. His mid-range jump shot is not horrible, which is a rare thing. And like you said, the hops and finishing close to the basket is something he can do. For whatever reason, it sometimes appears that he is not aware that he should be taken over. in situations. So it always, and perhaps it's because of who he's played with. Freshman year, he played with Trey Burke, and Trey Burke was the man, National Player of the Year, and all of that. This year, it looks as though Glenn Robinson III has taken a backseat to Nick Stauskas. Now, Stauskas is a great player, of course, Big Ten Player of the Year, but Glenn Robinson III is more talented than Stauskas. So it makes you wonder. Jesse definitely has a highlight film slam. I mean, he pulling 360s in games. I got to give you highlight reel. So I don't know. I think he's more talented than Nick Stauskas, even though I really like Stauskas' game. It's another guy I wouldn't mind seeing the Bulls pick. But GR3 should probably be the best player. He should have been the best player for Michigan this past season, but there it is. They had a very balanced team, and either the balanced team is allowing Glenn Robinson III someplace to hide from actually being a star quality player, or the team is so good that he's just accepted that, you know, pressing his own offense and that sort of thing and trying to take over and be a leader. Perhaps he feels that now he doesn't have to. He's felt that he doesn't have to do that because of the talent that's on that he played with basically at Michigan. So I don't know. I would be surprised if he comes back. Obviously, his dad's Glenn Big Dog Robinson, so he probably doesn't need money. If he chases the NBA, it'll be because he's ready. He feels that he's ready to take that step. So I don't know, maybe one more year, I think, and with him focusing on just being more assertive and really taking it to teams when he has the advantage, which is quite often. Most of the time, the guys that are checking him can't. But it's just about being aggressive, and that's not always something that you see with GR3. The last player of this episode is another Big Ten player, Ohio State's Quintin Ross. Quintin Ross, pure scorer, wants to shoot the jump shot, and he has a super quick release. I mean, super quick. And because he's so long, 6'8", has long arms, the super quick release becomes even just that much more deadly. He can knows how to dribble, create space to get the jump shot off. Shooting for almost 45% from the field, 35% from three-point range, 73% from free throw line. Even though he played for Ohio State, and Ohio State really hangs its hat on its defense, Ross is not a great one-on-one defender. Not at all. I mean, it appears that his feet are slow on defense. And he doesn't use the length of his arms, his wingspan, to close distance very much on shooters, in my opinion, from what I've seen and watched a good number of Ohio State this year as well. In Midwest, we get a lot of Big Ten. So that's a concern there. But the rebounding really went up this year for him with more minutes. At 6 rebounds a game. He's not the greatest passer. And as I mentioned, the defense is an issue. But I think just as a pure offensive player, Quintin Ross is, I think, one of the more talented players in the draft, just from a pure offensive standpoint. But as we all know, the game is played on more than just on just that end of the floor. And I think from a defensive standpoint is where he lacks the most. And that's what kept his rating down primarily. So that's what that is for Quintin Ross. Gonna be moving into the signature skills in a minute. When this, like I said, this is gonna be the last guy this episode. We'll see how many we can get done throughout this day. But I will tell you guys now, everybody with the draft class is waiting on that. I'm gonna take a quick break during the day, and I should be able to pump out, you know, a good number of videos tomorrow. So if you see the first 2 and it's not NBA 2K14 draft class, there's gonna be at least 1 more coming. So on the day. And like I said, at the very least, at the very most, it'll take me until Tuesday to finish this. But my goal is to get this done on Monday, the same day the tournament ends, as I mentioned, which was my goal. So that'll do it for this episode of the Draft Class. This one was long. 9 players I touched on here. Well, I didn't actually touch on them. That would be nasty. 9 players I covered here. So y'all stay tuned, subscribe, follow. Peace.